If this is your first or second time here, hope you enjoyed the video. If this is your third time here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on when I post. And if you want to support the channel even more, you can become a member. You'll get 2 exclusive videos a month for now. And your name in the credits of each video made that month. So, you know, that's neat. Anyway, let's get into it. Now, this is another in the series of videos I've been working on that talks about towns and stuff that were proposed in Fallout games that never came to be. The thing about it is, quite a few of these places are mentioned in passing or in such areas that they're not technically non-canonical until they're specifically stated to be non-canonical, right? And this town of Ouroboros is one of those, since it has direct links to Fallout New Vegas. It's another one of these strange in-between places that I like to talk about. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Fallout's forgotten cult town, the city of Ouroboros. Now, Buren, the cancelled Fallout 3 project back before Black Isle sold to Bethesda, introduced many lost locations. Again, not technically non-canonical until they're specifically stated that they're not. Few of them were as strange as Ouroboros, though. It was a city ruled by a self-proclaimed goddess, where raiders became soldiers and outsiders were, well, rarely left alive. Though it never appeared in the final game because the final game never existed. Now, their leader and self-proclaimed goddess was Hecate. Hecate? Anyway, she was no ordinary warlord. She was a visionary and a dictator, and was most definitely a cult leader since, you know, self-proclaimed goddess. She led a group of women, known as the Daughters of Hecate, in a matriarchal society for the town of Ouroboros. She believed in genetic purity and survival of the fittest, and demanded absolute devotion from those of the town. Which, putting all of those things together, I don't really understand how that worked. Like, if it's survival of the fittest and strongest, and the people that were the fittest and strongest were the ones in charge, then, especially in a post-apocalyptic world, how would it be a matriarchal society? Food for thought. Anyway, she enlisted the help of different raider groups throughout the area, most of which were just unnamed smaller raiding bands. The big ones, though, I've actually spoken of many a time in my Fallout challenge runs, are the Vipers. The Vipers, once scattered and dying as a raider clan, became her enforcers, reforged into a disciplined force under her leadership. The Vipers became her army, which is why I said this is one of those strange gray areas, right? Since the Vipers you do run into in New Vegas, and they are fairly well kitted out. Now, the Enforcers and the Elite Warrior sect of her people were the Hounds of Hecate, or Hecate, again, however the fuck you pronounce her name. And they served as her personal bodyguard and executioners, and I'm guessing they were mostly men. Now, we can go into the meaning of Ouroboros, you know, a snake eating its own tail, eternal cycles, creation, destruction, rebirth, all that. It represents her belief, her ideology, of burning away the weak to forge new, stronger individuals and people, while herself being protected by strong people. It's usually how it goes. Could also just symbolize the city itself. After all, it is the name of the city. You know, a city that consumes its own people to maintain power over everybody. Kind of fitting. Wouldn't be surprised if there was human sacrifice. Now, the culture of this city was strange, even by post-apocalyptic tribal standards. Unlike typical raider settlements, Ouroboros, word annoys me, function as a theocratic city-state where worship of Hecate was the law. Men were second-class citizens. Again, don't understand how that happened. Often warriors and laborers. I super don't understand how this society operates. While women held the highest ranks thereof. Again, if it's survival of the fittest and might makes right, then yeah, just don't. I guess if you have long enough time to ingrain a culture into a society there, you can make it as contradictory as you want. Children were raised in very strict training regiments, ensuring only the strongest survived, unless they were female, in which case I'm guessing they were taken care of. Human sacrifice, as I mentioned before, may have been part of the rituals involved. You know, literally sacrifice the weak. Maybe even cannibalistic to a point. After all, it's a lot of weight to a person, you know. On top of that, if you survived throughout all the training, persisted through it all, you got to undergo the trial of the Hounds of Hecate, which was said to be a very brutal initiation, which left you changed for life. I would not be surprised if in a society like this, especially a post-apocalyptic one, where women were the ruling class and men, for some reason, did as they were told. I'm guessing it most likely ended up as some type of eunuch situation for them. After all, this is Black Isle Fallout, right? This is the type of Fallout that had Jericho, the part of New Canaan that created a bunch of purified water, being overthrown by the people that they were helping, and them literally describing it as a single night of murder and rape, right? This is the 1990s style of storytelling here, so it would not be surprising if all of the Hounds were eunuchs. Now, we've already talked of the Vipers some. The Vipers, we first meet them in Fallout 1. They were a raider group with a snake-based religion, hence the name. During the early era fucking words, man. During the early era of the NCR, Aradesh launched a campaign to wipe out most of the raider tribes of the area, so the Vipers, the Jackals, the Khans, to fully subjugate the area of the NCR, mostly around Shady Sands, Vault 15, and a few other areas that they were pulling scrap and resources from to make them safer for their civilians. Instead of being completely wiped out, though, some survived. And instead of fading away or bleeding into the NCR, they joined Hecate there, abandoning their old gods for a new vision and a new chance at servitude? Mostly servitude. Under her command, they evolved from a simple raider clan to a structured military force outfitted with proper gear and, well, resources. They became a danger to the wasteland around them. And now when you run into the Vipers in Fallout New Vegas, they are fairly well kitted. I do believe I haven't run into a Viper leader that wasn't without metal armor and or a grenade launcher. So they're fairly well kitted. Now what we're going to do is we're going to jump into Hecate, whatever the fuck you want to call her. Now again, as is customary at this point, it's Greek. So, you know, a lot of inspiration is being pulled for a lot of the Fallout world from Greco-Roman history and mythology. Now, Hecate is a goddess in history, and she's oftentimes depicted holding one of a few things. Usually a pair of torches to show that she is guiding the way for people, a key to show that she's going to be unlocking either knowledge or some type of truth to them, or she's oftentimes depicted holding snakes. So what I wonder is if Hecate was once a member of the Vipers and had some unique birth defect or mutation that made her more serpent-like, right? Like, in reality here, we have, and please do not look this up, it is disturbing as fuck, just please don't, a disease known as harlequin diphthyosis, right? And that is when the skin of the body forms extremely dense plates. The problem with the skin of the body forming extremely dense plates of skin is that, sure, it is extremely fucking durable, but your skin can't move right, so it's literally just segments of skin leading down to the meat of your body. Infection sets in. It's a bad time for anyone born like that, right? They pretty much die all the time. Just don't look that shit up. It's terrible. Fucking terrible, man. But from what I've seen, it kind of looks like scales. And in this strange world of Fallout where radiation turns people immortal and a strange virus that was meant to cure all diseases turns you into a sterile super mutant being that can live for centuries, I wouldn't be surprised if exposure to something along the lines there created some strange type of birth defect in Hecate. Maybe she was given the name because she resembled a goddess that was a serpent. Maybe she was a normal person. Maybe she was a normal person that was exposed to FEV, and instead of turning into a super mutant or a centaur, she turned into something else. Hell, maybe she is a centaur. Maybe she's an intelligent centaur that instead of being mixed with random animals was somehow mixed with serpents. Do you think of a one of them snake people from like Dungeons and Dragons lore, right? Maybe something like that. I would not be surprised. Fallout's full of weird shit, man. And this is from Black Isle, that also came up with the idea of there being natural-born ghouls. As in, ghouls that are born ghouls. It's a strange thing, right? So I would not be surprised if she was held up as a goddess from birth by the Vipers, which would explain why Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail, and the Vipers and Hecate, a goddess shown holding snakes, are all intertwined as one. It would make sense in my mind that this is what she most likely is. She's most likely a mutant of some kind with a snake-like appearance. Most likely a centaur, which would be fucking weird. Now, speaking of their town, we'll go over the overall structure of the town, because this one did have a map. Again, this was going to be an important place in Van Buren, so we have a pretty much a hand-drawn map of the place. Now, the city center is a giant pyramid, which is both a temple and a fort for the city. The Ouroboros gate was the only known entrance into and out of the city, showing that they weren't keen on running away and abandoning the place they had made. It shows that they didn't want just another raider camp that was going to be abandoned and forgotten about. They wanted a city to be built there. Some people hint around that maybe that pyramid that was built there, maybe it was built around scavenged technology of some kind. Quite frankly, maybe it was another nuclear stockpile facility like we see in Fallout 4, where you got to go to where when you're helping the Brotherhood of Steel, you got to go into the glowing sea to find that pyramid-like place that holds the nukes that Liberty Prime uses. Maybe it was a place like that. We do not know. Now, I feel like just speculating a little bit here, because this is always fun, in my opinion. If Van Buren was finished, and if the city of Ouroboros became something more, with the way that city operated, I see it being a direct, almost a carbon copy of Caesar's Legion, but with an inverse belief system that women are better than men. Maybe Caesar's Legion and Ouroboros would fight it out, right? Maybe they would butt heads, or maybe they would ally themselves with one another. Maybe they would assimilate into a grander empire of some kind, with Hecate and Caesar becoming the emperor and empress of it all. Although if she was a mutant, I doubt he would allow that. Although if she was something more, maybe she was a natural-born ghoul. Maybe something else. I don't know. It's interesting to speculate here. Would the NCR have tolerated this place? Probably not. Probably not, because, again, to them, the Vipers were already a problem. Now, if they tried to destroy the Vipers, and the Vipers fled off somewhere else, where they founded this new town around a goddess that was most likely a type of mutant, I don't know how the NCR would deal with that, especially if, enough years had passed where they amassed an army. We already know that the NCR isn't the best military on the planet, right? They're afraid of Caesar's Legion, and Caesar's Legion, all it has is really manpower. When most of your soldiers are running around with fucking scrap throwing spears and lawnmower blade machetes, and not even like the most basic of firearm, right? Slam shotguns, they exist. You can make them. Pretty sure the post-apocalyptic world would have shit like that. Just slam fire shotguns. I could understand it, right? Nah, they somehow scavenged a bunch of lawnmowers and took lawnmower blades off and made machetes out of them, because that makes sense. Now, I feel like if Bethesda actually makes a Fallout game set on the fucking West Coast, because if you haven't noticed, the only modern Fallout game that hasn't been set on the East Coast is Fallout 3. Not Fallout 3. Fallout New Vegas. Fallout 3 was in DC. It was Fallout New Vegas, and they were made by the remnants of Black Isle, right? They were made by Obsidian. And it pulled from a bunch of lore of what Black Isle had originally made. Now, the Fallout TV show, which I don't really talk about much because I've only seen it through like one time. Good show. I enjoyed it for what it was. They didn't completely fucking butcher Fallout. But seems like Shady Sands is gone. The NCR is mostly fallen in on itself. I don't know if Caesar's Legion still exists, or if they had completely cannibalized themselves by this point. Apparently there's still some vaults along the west coast that are still doing their thing, even though you figure the Master would have found most of them. Especially if that one's not too far from the LA vault. Well, there's 3 vaults, technically. Not too far from the LA vault. And the Master would have really been chomping at the bit for DNA that was completely untouched by radiation, completely, due to the cryo fucking shit they were pulling. Master would have been all over that shit, man. But, yeah, I don't see them really pushing too much on the West Coast beyond using established lore for the way they can. But if they ever do, it'd be cool to see some of these factions that were originally talked about and then kind of done away with actually brought into the light so people can interact with them and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm rambling again, so I'll wrap this video up, and thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I will see you in the next one.